Hello, welcome to the Merk and Maven podcast presented by Toronto Ultra.
That was weird.
Wait, what is it normally? Merk and
The,
Maven,
Tor- the
Toronto
Ultra.
Ultra Merk and Maven podcast?
Yeah.
Bro, we haven't done one in like a month, bro. I was out there. Well, I mean, that's kind of correct. Like a Merk and Maven podcast presented by Toronto. Well, that's kind of correct too.
It just threw me off. It really threw me off.
Honestly, like, it sounded real weird coming out. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, like that was when there was like this Sony CWL presented by, like I was like,
the PlayStation 5 Sony presented by Sony Activision Call of Duty League. Yes,
that was pretty much it. Kidding. That was close. Close.
We've had a couple mouthfuls, but hello everybody. We haven't had an episode in a bit. Basically, just to be fully transparent, we've got, I don't know, like 5 more or something kind of tied onto this season. Then hopefully we get stuff figured out and we get into next season. So we're just kind of I've stretched them out, doing them here and there when stuff pops up. Some exciting news today. We had originally planned to have Krim on, but then I guess he got a schedule. He had a race today, so that couldn't happen. So hopefully still having Krim on here in the near future, because he'll be a fun episode. And then maybe some of the players in the recent talks. But otherwise, Joe, as we get into it, how you doing?
That's really been it. It's that we had about a month of a lot of roster announcements. And then since then, we've had a couple. We had ROKKR today, but it's more like who do we talk to, right? So just waiting for the team announcements, getting some of our favorites back. But yeah, kind of just like everyone else, we're just sort of waiting for the rest. But kind of knew this is how Roster Mania was going to happen, based on the rumors, the rebuilds, all this crazy stuff. But I'm doing well, Clint. I'm doing very well, you know.
So your son is sleeping again?
He is sleeping. Yeah, 12 hours a night. It's fantastic. I'm a much different human being this last month. July was tough. Sleep regression is real. What can you do? He's a beast, though. You know.
Yeah, I can tell. Always like hop into your stream first thing and look at your face. I'm like, I can tell how much Theo slept based on looking at you for a moment. Just like where you're at. But awesome to hear that. And this might be like a shorter episode in some ways, because we really just want to cover some of the CDL news, do a bit of a recap on what has happened, just in case. I mean, like Joe and I, like it's just been the big gap and stuff. Hell, we need a refresher on some stuff and where the rumors were at, what was going on. And then obviously we've got COD Next and stuff coming up. A lot of MW3 news has come out, so we're going to touch on some of that as well. But we can get right into the CDL news. I think one of the things on the last episode that was kind of a rumor that we were talking about maybe happening did go down with a fleshed out roster. It's Heretics being back, and I think you and I are both quite pumped about that.
No doubt about it. I mean, there's a couple of things. Obviously, having this roster back in the CDL, the fandom that they have, Heretics is, a great organization that we've had in the past. But on top of that, also the rebrand, right? I think there was, there's sort of, I don't know how difficult that process is, right? With the new game being made and the CDL skins. And we've just heard based on news posts that like rebrands can be difficult if they aren't approved. So I'm happy that it is Miami Heretics. Obviously, Florida Mutineers. One of the better brandings I think we had in the CDL, but it feels like they're passing the torch, and I'm excited for this roster. I really am, because I think
because you love that
end of. Well, I do love Javi, but there's a couple of things. I think for international rosters, maybe this brings more interest in, right? For the CDL, if this goes extremely well, then who knows what else is coming. But at the end of Black Ops 4, this team was like a top 6 roster. Yeah. Like they had potential. The question is like, when can they break into the top 4 and beat some of these top teams? They may take some time to catch up a bit, but just to get them back into the league playing against the best, I'm excited for it.
No, it's been cool just from an international standpoint. I mean, I know we always want more. We always talk about having a Spanish team, French team, German team. Like, we would love that. But like, I think just some recent successes with, maybe Ultra's success they've had over the past couple of years. Hydra, obviously, last year, having one of the best years for an individual player, maybe ever. Some like small sparks, but this feels like I don't know, kind of a bigger deal, like a whole roster coming in, fronting with the Spanish squad. We know, as you said, the fans are going to be crazy, and I'm pumped to see what it'll do. The branding kind of, I know it was kind of torn. Some people seem to love it, some didn't. It just made me think of Dan Marino throwing ropes, bro. Like as soon as I saw it, like I guess it's just being older, is thinking like old school, Dolphins or like those Miami Hurricane teams that were absolutely insane back in like the early 2000s or whatever. So I don't know. I thought it was cool. The
Oh
90s,
yeah,
I can't remember what years those were, but I remember those teams were
early
they
two
had
thousand. Yeah,
they had like NFL rosters, bro. Back when it was like, what did they have? Like Ed Reed and okay,
Clinton
I'm gonna
Portis.
yeah, Clinton Portis, who was the receiver that ended up going to the Colts.
I don't know.
God, oh, I'll blank it. I'd have to look at a list. But yeah, they basically, had it was like an NFL squad. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty dope.
Oh yeah, and I just think what this does for sort of the up and coming generation. I remember talking to these guys. I think it was in Toronto. Just this sort of the rumors were going around, and I was just talking to them. But these guys have been waiting for this. Obviously, you have Javi, right? And his story was crazy. We had him on the podcast. If you want to listen to that episode, it was a few episodes ago. But you had Journey, Lucky Metals, those guys got a taste of this, and then they went away for a few years. And props to them because there's probably people in that situation where maybe they don't get in the league. They might just give up on this. We've had that happen before. And then who knows what happens to the Spanish scene. But then on the other side, you kind of maybe you're inspiring the next generation of Spanish players. You see that success here, maybe we're gonna have more come from that region. I mean, that's really what it's all about. But they talked about how they always saw those guys playing in the Black Ops 4 Pro League. They were literally a scrim partner for them. Like they weren't 18. That team would come home and scrim like people like Javi, people like Eric Boom. So you never know what a team like this can do in a region.
Yeah, and like, listen, I know we all would love to have more fleshed out leagues for the CDL. Internationally, I just know we're not there yet. Hopefully someday that's the thing. But like for now, what we can have is hopefully just teams like that competing at a high level, like you said, just sort of giving hope back home and building it from there. I imagine Hydra had an impact on the French scene. I would think just based on what he did last year, just him alone had to have some impact. But yeah, no, I think we're both extremely pumped up. I think this, as much as we like the Mutineers branding, and they had some storied matches and some success, especially back to year one, what they tied for like the most wins, right, with 3. So,
Three.
but yeah, I'll sacrifice the Mutineers to have Heretics back involved if that's the way it's got to go down. All right. So then the news that happens, that was what, a couple weeks ago now. But yeah, we haven't had an episode a little bit. Was last week week maybe. But now the thing that happened, we got lucky. I swear, most of the time we have an episode go live and then stuff goes down like right after it is usually how it goes. But a couple hours before we were getting ready to record the episode, ROKKR got announced, Joe, after I believe they released the entire roster back on the 21st. So like 8 days ago.
Yeah, so you have Lynn's Awakening, Vivid, Accuracy. I mean, we've been talking about it on the podcast. I'm sure the Flame's been talking about it. We knew this was going to be very top heavy this year, just based on the rosters built. There was, LA Thieves are kind of going through a reset. We figured ROKKR was going to be doing the same thing. They kind of went all out when you talk about budget last year. They went for it. It just didn't work out. So what happens usually after a year like that? It's a rebuild. And there's some potential here. Obviously, you have Linz, who's one of the players. What was it? Awa Baba?
Bob. Yeah, I always butcher how to say it. But
yeah, they won the Ultra Major or Challengers Major. They had a lot of success. One of the top teams. You have Awakening and Vivid, who feels like always potential there. I think that is like the definition of these two, right? What can Awakening? Can he continue to be a superstar, or can he turn into one? Vivid, just with the speed, maybe that makes Linz's life very easy. And then Accuracy. They said it in the announcement video, like, this is what I do with young talent. I have a lot of success. We know that's the type of player Lamar is, being that leader. I mean, he did it in Seattle.
Yeah. I think for me, like, you kind of know what you're going to get out of Lamar. He had some good stretches last year, but you kind of know what you're going to get, I guess. I feel like Awakening, I feel like I kind of know his floor. I know his ceiling can be nuts, but I sort of still know what I'm going to get out of Awakening. It's just kind of this, probably the sub duo of just how Lens comes in and what impact he can have. No pressure being another French sub in the league after what Hydra just did last year. But Vivid's been, real kind of up and down, just depending on the system that's there and what he's expected to do. He has been lights out, taking over maps at times, disappearing at others. Seems like I don't know if it's a comfort level thing, confidence thing, whatever it is, but like, I guess just the Lens Vivid dynamic. if that ends up being great, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a team that's going to go win a bunch of tournaments, but they can make some noise, make some upsets 100%.
Yeah, and I think you got to remember, well, everyone really does. Like, we talked about those top teams in the sub duos. It's more just who is going to find success from like a younger sub duo, and this could be it. Like, Vivid, as you said, a ton of engagements could make Linz's life really easy and maybe turn him into a star. And maybe sort of the MW3 game with the changes and whatnot helps Vivid out with the movement. Sets his ceiling even higher. But I kind of dig it, honestly. I think with the pieces that you had left, I think there is a lot of potential here. And like you said, they went all in last year, but you didn't really get a ton of results. You might get a lot of decent results from this roster.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be it's going to get some flack from some people, but I guess just for us, it's kind of pretty good with what we expected. Like we thought this was going to be a rebuild. I mean, the only person that's probably maybe getting paid much over like a league minimum would be Awakening, maybe, but like it's just it's not what it was last year, where they kind of went for the fences. So I'm with you. I don't know how much success they'll have, but considering what's left, we've just been wondering like who the hell are people going to get? Because it got real top heavy with some of the combinations of squads that we saw.
And one of those teams probably isn't going to work out, right? Just like the ROKKR team from last year didn't work out. That's just the way it goes. You take those risks. Like a player might have had a really good year last year, might fall off a bit. A different game, a different system, whatever it is. That's going to happen to one of those squads more than likely.
It's just hard to think. I guess I can see that maybe with like NYSL, just because it was kind of like a 1-year thing. Titles changing pretty drastically. You made a little bit of a change, which we both think Priest has a lot of value on a team, and I think Sib's a monster. But like we don't know. But like it's kind of hard for me to think that like a FaZe, Optic, or Ultra are going to like flop. Like I just don't know if that's really realistic. Well, depending on what your definition of flop is, like they should be contenders all year. They should.
Yeah, no, I think so, but you just never know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's got to happen to somebody.
Just with the amount of talent, like in that time, yeah. I mean, who's like? Not everyone's getting to a final every tournament. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel that way. But finally we have another roster completed. We didn't talk about this one last podcast, but NYSL did officially announce Sib. Hydra, Kismet, Sky, Sib. And I mean, on paper, it's a pretty nutty squad. With what Sib can bring, it's just a question of how impactful was Priesta in terms of NYSL system. On previous podcasts, I don't love it. I just think if you have success, if you win a world championship, I think that squad should come back. But there's other people who look at it as, okay, I know you kind of said this. Teams are going to be getting better. We have to get better, right? We have to improve the roster. And maybe this is just that's their way of doing it.
Well, I'm just like, I guess I'm just torn on it because like I like Sib. I'm happy for Sib. I think he has had some of the more fun plays to commentate or nuttier moments of any players we've seen. His ceiling is bonkers, but yeah, we love Priest, dude. He's just a good kid. He just wants to go out there and win, gas his teammates up. I felt really bad for how it went down with him, and I think he said to hit on the one podcast, didn't end up being a contract thing. It seems like the players maybe didn't go to bat for him, but it seems like it started as a contract thing and then didn't end up being one. I guess I don't know exactly how it all went down, but like, part of me, like, it sucks because like I love Skies. I want to see Sib do well. Kismet is, I don't know. I just want to bark at people. Like I kind of want to see like them do well because like I like some pieces on the team, but I also want to see them fucking fail miserably because Priest being gone it hurts my brain.
Yeah, maybe not fail miserably.
No, there's part of me that wants to see that. There's part of me that wants to see them 12th out of 12.
Well, I don't think I mean, you're not the only one thinking that though. Like there was a lot of feedback that like, what the hell? Why do this? Why do that? So you're not going to be the only one. I'm sure there's
it's just part of me. Listen. There's a lot of me that wants to see him do great too, but there's a little bit of me. It's just like I want you to fail. I want you to fail terribly. But I don't know. They should be sick. But yeah, no, I think this will be a really cool sort of, there's always that argument, I think, in Call of Duty, like, is it talent over everything type of thing? How important are the intangibles? It's tough because we change games and, it's hard to identify exactly where things went wrong. But like, if they do struggle,
I mean, it
is
only
that
helps
enough to sort
Priesta.
yeah, you think it would, right? You'd sort of be like, well, apparently that's very important.
Well, it helps Priesta. It helps me because I hit those intangibles a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we know they're important for sure. But yes, you can out talent your way through them at times. Like you can outshoot if you get put in a bad situations, and that's what Sib brings. Like the guy has one of the best shots we've seen on stage. So
And do you
yeah,
think this
well,
puts like any kind of it's added pressure on everybody. I think Sib coming into this after they won, the 3 players that chose or were involved with Priesta going puts more pressure on them. You think that's anything you'll kind of feel or think about, or not too much? Just kind of get into it.
I don't know if they'll think about it. I will say one thing on because Sib he didn't have the success last year, right? Like he's coming in hungry, and that may help them. There is sort of the side of you've seen success, you have a nice vacation, a good break. Maybe you don't come back as motivated. Like Sib's gonna be like, yo, what time are we practicing? Like every day. He wants to know that schedule. And obviously they want to go back to back and be world champions once again. But that's just part of being a human. Like that's going to happen. Maybe they would have to build up their season a little bit and get motivated, but I feel like that's less now that you have a new piece. Like Sib's going to be on their case to make sure everyone's locked in. Yeah, I mean the pressure is going to be there. Every time they lose, they're going to get tweets about it. Should have dropped Risa. That's literally going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's got to be there a little bit, but we'll see if it really has that much impact. Do you think they'd be coming in with a little bit of swagger based on how last year went? But we wanted to do a little bit of a kind of a recap of where we stand with everything because we've had a bunch of episodes. A lot has happened. We just chatted through kind of the ROKKR's new team, Heretics new squad. We're gonna take a look and shout out to Viper Gaming. This was on Reddit. Just sort of a breakdown of like the announced teams that we've had so far that we're gonna look through.
You and I
quick.
were chatting up like, all right, who's all been announced? Who hasn't been announced?
Yeah,
What's a rumor? What's not a rumor? Long season is it's a bit of a long one. Not going to see these guys in action. And even for us, when we do these podcast episodes, like we're focused on the guests a lot of the time. So this lets us kind of dial in on this. But yeah, FaZe, you had Draza. You then have Optic with the addition of Pred and Kenny alongside Dashy, Shotzi. New York, we just talked about Sib being added there. Toronto Ultra, they add Envoy. Under them is Boston Breach. So that I think we touched on that team being finalized last episode. But if we didn't, Capsule, Priestess, Slasher, and then Snoopy. And then there is the Heretics team. So you have that Heretics team there with Vickle, Journey, Lucky, Metals, and Eric Boom. So there's sort of a graphic to let you kind of know where you're at. Plus, you add the ROKKR. We don't have the ROKKR one on there because this was, from the Kai competitive Reddit. So the question is, who are we still waiting on? LA Thieves, and they've tweeted out a couple of tweets the last few days, and I think one just a little bit ago.
The roster might come out tonight. I would be surprised.
Yeah,
If it came out like
might come out today.
Yeah,
maybe when this is already live. So we're waiting on LA Thieves, which I think again is another rebuild at this point. You then have Seattle Surge. We're waiting on. We're waiting on Los Angeles Gorillas. We're waiting on London and then Vegas. So there are still 5 teams remaining. Just curious where like someone like Bance is going to go. Cammy, Clay, Standy. There's still some big name players out there, and we're just kind of waiting to see who goes where. I mean, our cities, I truly don't know what these teams are going to be. These should be a bit of a wild card.
Dude, just looking at that graphic though, like just talking about the top heavy thing, like, dude, those 4 rosters look nuts, huh?
It's pretty wild. That it's kind of happened.
I mean, we've had it before. I mean, I feel like it's always happened. Like what happens in any sport, right? Like we don't have really, I don't know, the same, whatever you want to call it, filtration sort of system that you have with major sports, with people coming up from college and the draft system and
salary
caps. And yeah. We don't really have a lot of those systems in place that sort of try to find parity, which listen, nothing.
Well, I think there's a salary cap, but I think the fact is that like if you're a star player or there's only a certain amount of money you can accept. Like that's it.
Well, yeah, it's not.
So
But even like sports that have had like salary caps and stuff. And I know you have like the luxury tax and whatever with basketball, but you know, listen, I've watched basketball for a long time. There was not a lot of parity for a long time. I mean, it
yeah.
was just the Lakers and Spurs just sort of running stuff for a decade. But like last year, I think it was a really good example of how fun the league can be when it's just like it feels like anybody's got a chance to go out and win it. I know it's what everybody kind of wants in some ways, but I don't know, the top. It's also fun to just see sort of juggernauts go at it, man. There's a lot of expectations for these top teams. As you said, somebody's probably not going to live up to the hype, and we'll kind of get to watch it all play out over the course of the year once we get going.
Well, and I think a lot of these teams came together. Why? Because young talent developed throughout the league. Like the reason why there was a lot of parity is Sib and Pred got a lot better, and they would cause upsets throughout the tournament. Ultra, they do what they do. They recruit Insight and Scrappy. Who the hell are these guys? Boom, they're winning tournaments, getting second head champs. Like it's just sort of happened where that sort of the young stars who were causing upsets are now on these top teams, and we're going to probably see it again. There's going to be some young stars who go off and cause upsets, but it may just take a little bit more time.
Well, no, that maybe that's like our kind of parity equalizer at times. Is like it's tough to be truly proven unless you are like one of those super mega stars that's coming in and everyone knows is going to be the next god, which is pretty rare. But a lot of times, even if this player might be incredible, not everyone realizes it yet. It's so difficult to get a spot in the league. You're usually coming in at probably like a league minimum or close to it, right? And like if those guys end up being lords, then yeah, like you said, that's sort of where that can happen. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where we find our sort of parity equalizer. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. The only thing I saw with I think there were some rumored like surge teams. I feel like all I've seen about like London was some financial stuff about the bigger org, if they're in trouble or not. Vegas, I think I saw a clip where like Clay was chatting about, I think he had asked to come back with like 33% less money and more responsibility or something like that on a recent podcast. I think
Clay, the rumor with Clay is it's like LAG with him, Standy. I forget the full roster, but attach and then one more sub. Nero. There Nero. So I believe that's the rumored roster. Standy, Nero, attach, and Clay. And I think that's under the LAG banner, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, the rumor stuff, we're not gonna dive too deep into because who the hell knows? Stuff has changed so much. We'll see what happens. But I gotta think we're getting pretty close to the part where, well, rumors are pretty close to the truth usually, typically speaking. But
I could see that in terms of like, okay, when you're a veteran kind of in this situation, what do you do? It's usually you try to find some familiar, like someone you're familiar with. Clay and Attach, they've teamed up before. Clay just played with Standy. Standy and Attach have played with one another on Minnesota ROKKR. Like that just kind of makes sense. And then it's sort of like, all right, who's left? I think maybe the one player I'm interested to see is like someone like Arcides and what happens with him. Because
I think he was on the rumored surge roster I saw.
Okay.
I forget who all it was. I've looked at so many rumored rosters and shit.
But I'm just thinking, like, if I'm him, who do I want to try to get? Because he kind of took the different route where he played with youngsters last year. Didn't work out. Does he go back to does he try to convince someone to get his brother in Gunless? That's what I'm saying. That would be awesome, but that's what veterans typically do. That's what I did when I got, you get off a team. I'm going back to JCab, like, yo, Cab, let's team again. Back to Big T and Rail. Like, that's just kind of what happens.
That'd be back to like the AM days, because that was Gunless and the Twins back on, what was that AM team?
United?
That was before United, wasn't it? Aren't they on like a THC? Oh God,
I don't remember, but I just remember them under United. Yeah,
I thought they were on team even before that, but maybe it was just the Twins. Could be faded, but yeah, no, that's going way back though. I mean, that's a person we haven't chatted much about. Like, I know Gunless was going through some medical issues and stuff, but he's a guy that I don't know. I know a couple of years have passed since he's been. When was the last time he was sort of in the league and like that guy?
I mean, it's like MW19. I mean, he won an event on the Huntsman.
That's probably last time, right?
Yeah.
Now that was kind of short lived, but before that,
but I know him and Pristini both like competed in challengers a bit.
I wouldn't be surprised if he came in and still was just able to fry.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
just because Gunless was one of those like rare counts that when he was in peak form was the best player on the planet. And usually when you're one of those guys, like he'll be all right. At least I would think so.
He did it multiple times.
Yeah. There were multiple titles where he was that guy. Is there anything else you really want to touch on with regards to the team stuff? I mean, mostly just kind of waiting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, just waiting. We'll try to get some guests on from these new rosters. Talk about kind of how their roster mania got, but that's really it. Just kind of wanted to update everybody on where we're at with that.
As much as updating ourselves, honestly. Like,
yeah,
we get lost in our own like streams, and it's the off season, just watching whatever esports, playing other games.
I should have quizzed you. That's what we should have done. We should have made this a segment and quiz, like put the rosters together.
Sheesh. I might have been all right with like most of them, but some I'd have been like, I don't know, bro. I don't know where we're at anymore.
I have no idea.
This is one bit of news that's kind of tossed in with like CDL news type stuff. Vonderhaar leaving Activision in Treyarch. I think I just want to touch on this quick because I think we have a lot of love for Vaughn going back to the early days. He was one of the, I think him and Jay, we talk about our guy Jay sort of all the time, and no one knows who the hell we're talking about, but like him and Jay Purrier.
Works in the shadows, baby.
Yeah. He retired years ago, but they were two of the guys that first gotten, into kind of MLG tournaments and wanted to sort of help make this thing go round. So I don't know how much Vaughn has been involved the past couple of years. I know most of our conversations around stuff when it comes to Treyarch has been like Tony Flame, Maddox, those guys. Lawrence. I think Vaughn's I think he took a step back years ago. I still think he was involved in like, overall systems and game design, but like on the esports side, he kind of took a step back ages ago. But dude, he was a special guy, man. I mean, I don't even know how to describe him. He was intense. I remember the first time, like I think it was Black Ops 3 when I first became one of the main commentators. I had asked to go to Treyarch to
that's for sure.
They wanted to show me some stuff about like Codcaster mode, and they had this room at Treyarch called the War Room. It was just like darkly lit, this giant like table in the middle.
The table and then the screen, yeah.
Yeah, one side was me, on the other side was Vaughn. I was like, I was intimidated. I'll be honest with you. I was nervous as shit, bro.
Yeah.
This is still like kind of early for me before I, became, bigger in this thing. And commentators, like my first big jump is one of the main commentators. And like, dude, being in that room alone with Vaughn talking through stuff, it's just, he's just no bullshit, man. Like he doesn't want a lot of bullshit. Like if you're trying to explain something, like explain it and give details and tell me why, the how. Like don't just say, like he would hate, players to give feedback on something like CTF sucks. Like, okay. Like this map sucks. Like, no. Like we need, like, tell me why, how, why doesn't this work?
So that's when I was brought in and I was a translator. Yeah. Me and Eric, that's what we would do. We were literally translators for players. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think just sort of want to give a little shout out to Vaughn, because I think it's safe to say, like, it never would have gotten to this level without his sort of investment from the developer side. And I don't think we've ever gotten to where we've wanted to with the full-on kind of dev support and publisher support, but we are only where we are in part to like him and Jay early on. So, he will be missed, and I'm sure whatever he's going to tackle next, he'll be a beast. But I guess I wasn't as like, I saw a lot of tweets like kind of freaking out or this and that. Yeah. Like, I guess I didn't really feel that way because I guess I haven't really thought he's been as close to it in recent years as he was in the past, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, the last couple of years, I mean, I don't know. It's been like probably Black Ops 4, and then after that, who knows? Maybe even like during Black Ops 4, but it's felt like that relationship has been a little choppy. But
yeah.
It feels like like kind of what he loved was shared down to the people below him, like people like Maddox and Lawrence, Tony Flynn. I don't think Tony's there anymore either, but those guys, yeah, they love competitive COD a lot.
You might be right. In my head, like Tony's there forever.
No, I think Tony left. Right? Tony left like a couple years ago. I think.
Oh,
pretty sure it was a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
but
right.
There's a lot of people.
It's interesting because all the people I've talked to recently have been Maddox and Lawrence. So yeah, that makes sense. But
basically, I just think there's still a lot of people who really care about us. So we'll be all right. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we figured out these last couple of years. We're good.
Yeah, right. Like I think we can get through anything at this point. Well, now kind of what we want to chat about, just some of the MW3 news. I know it's been talked about to death, I'm sure, in so many circles, but you haven't really heard Joe and I chat about it and give our feedback. And I know
our opinions have been waiting. No, I'm just kidding.
I know one of the one of the first things I think Joe said and I said was one of the first things Joe says beginning of this year was like, I don't feel like I'm playing COD right now. And that was mostly when it came to Warzone, but obviously that applied to multiplayer as well. And, I think I said right away, it blows my mind that the best thing that COD's ever done with the smooth gameplay, like the fast action, like the thing that's made it dominate the console market when it came to FPS for so long, it's like they just threw it out the window. This year was very surprising. So it feels like the whole fucking year was a troll just to come out now and say the fact that we're like getting rid of slide canceling, and like we heard the devs like hated slide canceling, and then we had the one in Teep got the thing with like the cell phone and stuff, like the slides. I was like, bro, what is?
Oh, slide canceling is a part of the marketing plan. Yes.
Yeah, it's wild, and like I get it, like Activision
It's based on the dev,
marketing,
right? Yeah.
marketing behemoth, but I think overall we're gonna chat through some of the things. We're just excited. It sounds like we're gonna be playing COD again.
Well, and I think what's funny is like it's not even funny, but this was supposed to be an expansion, and I assume
we've heard a million different things.
Yeah, who knows? But basically, this is the way I would summarize this: an MW2 expansion that we're calling MW3, and then all the things you didn't like as a community, we're just going to do the opposite, and hopefully that makes you happy.
Well, and I think just at its core,
which I'm cool with.
And we haven't played it yet, but like that all sounds good because I think we've also kind of said since the beginning that like the core of the game, like the core gunplay and like visuals and like a lot of the feel of it, if it just was sped up a little bit when it came to animations and ADS and strafe speed, like it felt like
not the shooting visuals that needs to be better for sure.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I liked just sort of. I don't want to say the core game because there were a lot of issues with the core game, but like
the
engine,
like
the engine, maybe. Yeah, like there was, I think, potential there. If they just tweak things quite a bit, it sort of sounds like that's exactly what we're getting.
No, it feels that way. So let's start off. Let's start off with the top. So I think the biggest thing here is the MW2 maps are being remastered. They're all coming back. What are our thoughts on this? Because I think maps have been a big discussion these last couple of years. From a competitive side for MW2, I think there's some potential here, but I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm still a little nervous. If we're talking 3 game modes, and we'll talk on the 3rd game mode, but even let's put that to the side. Let's just talk hardpoint and search and destroy. First off, if you have tax sprint and everything, and I think they said this, they have to make them feel a little bit bigger, right? Like it would just be tiny with tax sprint, with how much quicker you're moving now compared to 2010 or 2009. So that there has to be adjustments there. There's obviously doors. I've seen like doors being talked about. I don't know if that's confirmed or just a rumor. That's always interesting. But I'm just going to look at a map list. Competitively in MW2, what we played Terminal. We played Scrapyard. So Terminal, I could see working for like a hard point and a search. Scrapyard, I don't know if you can play hardpoint on that. Probably not. Search, we didn't play that. We played High Rise. I think that should be good for both. But it still could be interesting. I don't really know how you move the points around. I guess we'll figure that one out. I think Invasion will work out well. That's a 3-lane map. I think that should be good for both. And I think that was pretty much it. And then we played Karachi Search and Destroy. So it's not like a lot of these maps we played competitively on. There was about 4 to 5, which is about the norm. But this isn't like your Black Ops 2 where, this was the best of the best. We didn't play Hardpoint. And we played Search and Destroy, and some of the search maps were okay. So like, I'm still a little nervous here on how this is going to work out for the maps.
Yeah, I guess I don't have the experience competing on this, obviously, and we have no experience with Hardpoint. But I guess I just want to sort of feel like if it's a big if they're working with the CDL, maybe some professionals on where point placement is and how spawns work. Like I guess.
Yeah, I know there was already some there a couple of weeks ago.
Like I think the spawn system is more important than the maps when it comes to hardpoint. In the sense of the good spawn system, you can make maps work with like You can make a dog shit map work. A really good map with a shitty spawn system is just fucked. At least it's kind of how I view it. Like an okay map with like a good spawn system can be great. I don't know that I feel that way about a great map with shitty spawns.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
I mean, it's both. Let's say it's both. But like, if they can get spawns to like a good place, if I have good faith that they're working on that, then I guess I'm concerned less. Is my point.
Well, there is the other thing because like supposedly MW2 weapons are all transferring over. Are MW2 maps all like? Are you gonna be able to play every like? Maybe we just have those as backup options. Like maybe the spawn system is adjusted and the maps we played this year are better with like Dead Silence and whatnot. I guess just like is like a backup plan. Because if that's the
I'd be
case,
totally
then we
fine with
should
that
have
if we
enough.
yeah. If we can take, I don't know, 1 or 2 from this year and 4 or whatever from next year.
No, same.
Yeah, I'd be fine. Or if we just agree to always have raid, just I just feel it's just
yeah, it's just like
always.
obviously the MW2 map list. This was a huge nostalgia push, marketing push, casual fan base push. This is not thinking from like the competitive viewpoint that we are. But like when I heard that, people were excited, and I was like, well, for comp, like I really don't know how this is going to work. It'll be interesting. Like, and maybe there's some maps that actually play pretty well that we didn't play that'll work well with Hardpoint.
No, I think you make a fair point. It's a good one. I just if all the other little things around like 150 HP and we'll chat through them, but like all the other little things in the game plus spawns are decent, I think we can get by with question mark maps.
Hopefully we need a spawn system change for sure. But I am a little worried because Vanguard did have squad spawns.
That's the part that just leaves me worried is where's the spawn system at? Because then you throw everything I'm saying out the window.
Yeah, throw it all out the window.
Well, let's chat through some of the other. Oh, well, you want to talk sort of about the third game mode because that becomes an interesting conversation because we've players or fans have begged for like CTF at times, and I think Joe and I've typically been of the camp. Listen, unless the maps are specifically designed for CTF, like the floor for CTF is far lower for control for me. Control is a game mode just even when it's at its worst, it's still all right, right? Like we've had some lit years with it, we've had some okay years, but like the really, really poor CTF, we haven't had good CTF since Black Ops 2. Like it's been forever. But like this might be the one year that I guess it's more of a conversation for me because these were maps where like CTF was a little bit more focused. So this would be a time when I guess I'm more willing to have that conversation than I ever have been in the past.
Yeah, so there was a tweet from Intel CDL. I think it was Crowder's podcast, Scrap Time podcast. You can obviously check that out, but it basically says the league had serious discussion on getting rid of control as a third game mode and playing either 3 hard points or 3 search and destroys instead. I'm not a huge fan. I like having a third game mode. I just think it like usually there's teams who are very strong at search or very strong at hard point, right? Like respawns. It just I think the third game mode. If you look at the last couple of years, the teams who really get down to third game mode they're some of the best if they're not winning the events, right? When in terms of the map pool, I feel like it just really tests your limits as a squad, whether that be control. And yeah, I'm not saying control has been great. I think a lot of that's due to the maps and spawns.
I still think it's been like it's had its moments. It's been all right. I guess
I still think it's had incredible moments. Personally, I think it's had some incredible moments. But yeah,
boring ones too. Yeah.
CTF is an option here, but again, we're talking about spawns. If this has the MW2 spawns, then yeah, you could potentially work on that. We could play Scrapyard, we could play High Rise, we could play Terminal. You could play Invasion, you could play those maps here. But yeah, CTF, I mean, you could have stalemates. There are boring moments in CTF. But this is maybe your best option. I would rather have a third game mode than only have 2.
So you would basically saying if it had to only be CTF, you would take CTF before overdoing 2. Okay. Yeah, because I think like 3 hard points I can sort of wrap my head around the sense it's at least like still 3 respawns, but like 3 search I think changes the dynamic entirely of our entire esport. I mean, just having more searches than respawn would be wildly different.
And dude, like a lot of the discussion around control is its map limitations. We've had map limitations in hardpoint and in search. I think you could probably argue search last year was worse than control. Like truly, like
Yeah.
with the sound EQ and no Deddy and all this other stuff, very one bomb centric maps. It's all around maps. And the reason why control is typically easier to work with than CTF is because you can move the points, right? It's much easier than moving the flags, and just how the maps are set up. When there's two zones, you have more options for maps. It's just way easier than like if you have bad CTF maps, you're just kind of screwed. There's nothing you can do. You can barely move anything.
Well, I think another part of it should be just like, you know, for a recurring year over year franchise league, or I mean, whatever it is,
Parity
whatever
year
it
to
will
year.
be. Yeah, there's only a couple things we care about, like kind of having parity. You know, we weren't a big fan of when it went to 5v5. I think 4v4 is one of those things that just shouldn't fucking be touched. Let's leave that, okay? And then it's the game modes. I guess that's one thing where I feel strongly there should be some parity and consistency. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying I'm a little more open to, if it doesn't go that way this year, I guess I'd kind of get it just because of where we're at. But it's just a weird year just because we haven't had hardpoint either. Well, there wasn't hardpoint in MW2. I mean, like, just kind of.
And then what happens next year? Like, that's sort of the question. Like, when with Treyarch's title, they made control. That's literally their game mode. I bet they probably want control again, unless they're building for CTF. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's not like, it's not the end of the year. I mean, I'd rather have the third game mode changed than obviously one of the core two. But I just would prefer that the game is built around it. That's just always why control's been safer, just easier, like you said. Well, some of the other stuff that's I think everyone's happy. We'll have classic minimap, red dots back, so people like me won't be as confused, Joe.
Yes, we have the classic minimap and red dots. Why this went away, I don't know.
That was a weird one. Well, to be fair, I mean, as much as we praise Treyarch, Treyarch has been our best developer when it comes to esports support, 100%. But like, they did 5v5, they did like Fog of War. I mean, there's been some weird stuff that's been done too. I guess the red dot thing made me think of what it was called, Fog of War, right? Like the weird like reveal system that would happen on the minimap.
I don't remember that at all. That was in Black Ops 4, right?
Black Ops 4, yeah.
Did you get rid of that or no?
Oh God, as the year went on.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember. Did they get rid of that? I don't remember how that worked.
I thought that was in the whole year. I thought that was sort of like, if you, let's say you were your minimap, you have like your conal view. Like if you were running, and like someone came into that on the side, even that and shot and pinged, you would just automatically ping them. Isn't that what it did, kind of?
Maybe that sounds
like
about right.
If they were like sort of in that conal, dude, maybe I'm mixing up entirely.
No, I don't think you are. Your brain works weird ways. I just forget. I don't remember that. But
we've had,
the fact is, they still had red dots.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Even if maybe a little, I think that was their way of not having like battle chatter and stuff, where it was like calling out, just like did it for you, but it was kind of weird because it's like free info for people. It was very strange. But yeah, I think we're excited to have more classic. It's one of those staples that maybe doesn't need to be touched.
And if you don't want to be on the minimap, you can use the silencer. That's how that works.
Shout out Nate Shot. I know one thing that drove me insane, especially since I don't know if this was like a Halo thing or where I started, or it's just like an OCD thing. I don't know if many people are like this, but like, I don't care if I shot 2 bullets, my ass is reloading. Like, I just like have to reload my gun.
Yeah.
It's just, I've just always been that way. Like, if the clip isn't full, I'm not thinking like, oh, I've got 14 bullets left, I can get another kill. I'm thinking I got to reload. I don't know. It's just how I am. The ability to not be able to like cancel that reload killed me this year. Especially as how I am with reloading, it killed me.
I do not understand why that ever went away.
It's just to punish people like me. I don't know.
I still get caught on Warzone to this day with this, why you cannot cancel a reload. I do not know.
When did it stop being a thing where you could like start cooking? Because before, in previous titles, and I don't know, like if you were starting to cook a frag grenade, you could put it back in your pocket, right? Or was it usually
it depends on the title.
Depends on the title. Because I remember that one of the first times I went to throw a frag this year, I blew myself up. Because I went to go throw it, and I'm like, oh, nope, not a good time. I went to go put it back. I'm like, oh, I can't. I just panicked, held it in my hand, and blew up. I was like, That's the
Yeah, I
kind of
think
year
it
we're gonna have.
started out as if you ran like Semtex, you'd always put them away. But like it started in Cat, I think if you had frags, you had to get rid of it. And then there was like a year or two where if you had frags, you could put it back.
I thought for sure you could at some point. I just couldn't remember which
Yeah,
time.
no, you could. You definitely could.
Okay.
But yeah, you have grenade cancel, whatever. Put it back.
Um, so that, thank God. Now with that, so you can basically you're gonna be able to cancel slides, reload, grenade cancel. I thought this was interesting, like the it's fire right after sliding, because I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Ghost, you couldn't shoot till after you slid, correct? And then it was after that you could shoot through sliding. And I remember like one of the big complaints early on with sliding wasn't even like the cancel. It was just the ability to shoot while you slid. Like most on the professional side were like, you just should not be able to shoot till you're done. Correct?
Yeah, that was just like, because people just thought it was like balance. It's like dolphin diving, right? If you were going to enter into this movement interaction, you should not be able to immediately start shooting. They just felt like that
it should be for movement, not for fighting.
Correct. For movement ability, not combat ability.
Yes. So that
doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I don't know that I personally care too much either way, but I think I remember that being a pretty big complaint, like post Ghost, I thought, like just around the slide. What faster mantling? Thank God.
You don't like doing pull-ups.
The number of times like this year, and like listen, most of my time was Warzone, so take it for what you will. But like I think I had like a free kill in front of me. I was like looking the other way, and I go to like hop up and just mantle up, and by the time I've even finished the mantle up, he's turned around and killed me. I'm still mid mantle. It felt like everything just felt like you weighed 400 pounds in this game.
Yeah, if you did a little side hop and then like your dude like did the one arm like push me up,
bro.
You're like, dude, what is happening right now? Yeah, no, I'm excited about this one as well. Faster mantling, just a little bit. Just I don't know. It doesn't feel as smooth like COD. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. That sort of Call of Duty feel we talk about mantling this year in the hanging on the side. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I don't even know if it felt like realistic. That's probably what they're going for. But just get all that shit out. Get it all out. I don't give anything realistic. I do not give a fuck. Get it out. Like, I don't need to feel like what it would be like for me doing these things, because that's what it felt like. Like this year felt like it was me physically doing all this shit. Like, bro, like, oh no, thank you. ADS while sliding. I actually don't know if that really matters much, as you can't shoot till after the slide, right? So
yeah, I guess we'll see. Whatever.
I guess
the next one I'm excited about though. That we're
like the
about.
players like the like the Matic spam, like the ADS spam.
Yeah. Next one I'm excited about: increased strafe / ADS speeds. I mean, please, come on, give me some strafe. We have 0. You have cement boots, and it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be insane, but we have absolute 0. This is why we're crack aiming, because we're just trying to create strafe. You literally can't move once you aim in. You're in a quicksand, and then faster ADS speeds. I mean, they especially sprinting, like sprint to fire. That has been COD since the heyday. Like it's sort of, if you get caught sprinting, it is milliseconds. But if you have the ability to snap on someone, that's COD and react, right? Like you get caught, boom, you can try to force a gunfight. If you get caught sprinting, you're dead. You lose.
Yeah, that was probably one of the things that in itself was a skill gap, at least to like separate a good player from a poor player. Like if you get ADS quickly, like you could piss on somebody. When that becomes less of a thing, it's just like, oh my god, Jim Bob 4445 has just been pre-aiming this side for an hour, and I've died to him again.
That's how that goes. So yeah, really excited about that one.
What was the one clip I saw? Well, it was like a MP5, or I forget which guns it was. But it was like an MP5 from like this game versus an MP5 from like 10 years ago, and it was just like side by side strafe speeds. It was so funny how much faster it was. Oh, back in the day, it was so much faster. It's like ADS and a strafe. It was nuts.
Yeah. Excited for a little. Yes, it makes gunfights, especially long range, a little bit more fun. Attack sprint recharges while sprinting. It doesn't do that in this game. On the competitive side, I don't know if that's the biggest deal for Warzone. That'll make the game feel a little bit quicker because it's just like, where is my attack sprint, please? Where is it?
Yeah, I guess I'm still somebody that just wishes they would get rid of attack sprint and just give us faster like base movement and just regular sprint.
I guess it's just never going away now.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of me like I don't know. I get it sometimes. Like when you hit like you're getting pushed and you hit a nice like tack sprint jump or whatever, you hit like a nice movement on somebody and make a play. Like it can be fun. It's just like the sort of RNG of it in certain situations. Like, is it going? Especially you don't have a cancel mechanic. Like, am I going to have it up? Like, is it going to be ready to go? Like, am I going to be able to finesse this situation? Like, when exactly is it going to run out? I don't know. It seems like it's sort of like an RNG thing that it just adds like inputs on my controller to if you're not playing auto attack sprint. That just seems so unnecessary if you just bump the base movement.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's just one of those things like this is how cameras get broken, right? Like, if you go too fast, this is what tack sprint does. This is when you're just getting BS'd. Happens a lot. But yeah, you're just swinging through a door, tack sprint, get gunned. You're like, what the hell just happened to me?
Yeah, I know this isn't like CS or a Val or something, but just having like two kind of speeds, like a walk and a run or a run and a sprint or whatever it is. Like, yes, there should be some separation between the two, but yeah, you're right. Like the standstill to the tack sprint is absurd. Just like the difference, or like the walk to whatever it is. Like it's just absurd. Yeah, and it could be nuts with cameras. Yes, it can be fun to shit on people, like I said, but it can be frustrating. So wait, what is the? I didn't actually even look it up. I just saw it like in the notes. What is the tack stance? Is it almost like the candid laser looking kind of thing?
That's what I thought it was. So I don't really think it's going to affect us. But it seems like there's some shouldering to it. But like you're not. It's like in between ADS and hip firing is how it looks.
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
saw like
with
one
a little
screenshot,
like,
and it looks sort of like the candid laser.
Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to be, and maybe like a little like I don't know, left to right. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's going to affect us very much. Probably just a made up thing that they added to the list.
I don't think it will. Yeah, I wasn't really sure what the hell it meant. 150 HP. Think awesome. Thank God.
Yeah, and I saw some discussion around this. Like, this could be good, it could be bad. I mean, 150 HP. It really depends still on weapon balancing. You could have guns still killing 3 bullets. I mean, just depending on damage values. Like 100 HP.
The numbers are make believe. Like the numbers.
Yeah, like
make believe.
Yeah, they are literally make believe. You could have a gun do 50 bullets or 50 damage per bullet and still die in 3 bullets. So it sounds like they're trying to increase time to kill. We'll see if it gets done, but especially on the multiplayer side, very sad for this.
What's like your perfect? What do you think COD? What COD do you think had the best? Probably for like TTK.
I like Cold War a lot, which was 150. I think BO4 is there. The issue with BO4 was stim and just how quickly you could stim. I didn't mind stimming. It was just how quickly it came back, which was also 150. But I think Cold War was a really nice time to kill. It felt like Krig players had to hit like nice, like, I don't know, like 5-6 shots deep, long range. But like 74U players, if you got into a good spot, it was like 4 bullets.
You ever find yourself missing like the health bars? Like, I know it's because like stem and stuff, but sometimes I'll watch old clips in Black Ops 4. It's just sort of, I guess it can be too much visual clutter, but sort of like knowing you got somebody 1A versus like guessing. Like, I guess sort of like
it's more info. I don't hate it.
Yeah. I was watching the Black Ops 4 clips and I was like, sometimes I miss like just the visual of that.
Visual? Yeah. Just knowing what you did, how much damage you did.
Yeah.
It's because like, you could hit 4 Maddox bullets across the map and it did like 40 damage.
Yeah, right.
But at least you would know. They have a gear perk system. I think I've seen rumors of this. Like, you wear a helmet, but that's just supposed to be a perk. Your sneakers are supposed to be a perk. I don't know. But it just sounds like the perks are all going to be started at the start of the map. Yeah. That's all we care about.
That was an idea, huh?
Oh, and Deddy, Ninja, right? That's the other thing. That's the other thing is Ninja is confirmed, hopefully. So we're good to go there, especially on the multiplayer side.
What do they say? Like, is it one of those things where it like dampens them or they're silent?
That's a great question. I don't have the answer for you.
Because that might, with all this new audio stuff people are doing, that might matter quite a bit. But I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see how that plays out. But I mean, overall, yeah, it feels like they kind of kind of hit on everything for the most part that we had issues with this year. You put more time into multiplayer rank than I did, obviously, but is there any you think that's like real glaring that they kind of haven't hit on just from how the game sort of feels, like the core stuff?
I don't think so. I mean, no, I think everyone should be pretty happy. I think just the maps.
Maybe like headshot multipliers, but that's not something we
Yeah,
really hear
they
about.
talked about that as well.
Oh, did they?
Supposed to be, yeah, it's supposed to be reduced, reduced headshot multipliers.
Because what did Chark do? It was just 1 and 1.1, basically, right?
I don't remember.
I thought that's what it was when pros liked it. It was just like 1 and 1.1. It was a little bump, but nothing like major.
And then I remember in MW19 they said they got rid of it, but I think that was fake. Because I swear that shit was a lie.
He died so fast I can't even tell, bro.
Yeah, and let's maybe explain this, like why. Okay, so like if you're someone listening, you're like, no, but like headshots should give you more. In Call of Duty, with what we just said, with how quickly you have to react to things, especially on controller, and if you play controller, you know this. When you're aiming in on someone, your goal is not to aim in at the head, right? That's just it's not a thing. So what ends up happening is like randomly your gun will just go up. Maybe someone gets first bullet on you. You aim in at chest level. And then as you get shot, your aim in goes right to their head and you get like 3 accidental headshots. That's not like, oh, he aimed at my head and killed me. Like that's pure luck.
Yeah, well, flinch. Like I don't know if it'll ever headshots like being significant will ever make sense to me with flinch. I mean, most games where you think of like headshots making a lot of sense are your I don't know, more accurate mouse and keyboard shooters, your CS, your Valorant with spray patterns, and where you get the flinch doesn't exist and it just makes a lot more sense.
You're also not
controllers with flinch. It's always like weird to me. Like I never. There are some times when it's longer time to kill in like Warzone at longer ranges where like I will actively on controller try to go for headshots, like, or if you're sniping or something, obviously. But there are times where like I will sort of drift towards the head, try to get headshots. But like with the time to kill as low as it is in multiplayer, like unless you were trying to shoot someone off a heady, like bro, you're just trying to get a shot into them as fast as you can. I don't care. You don't care where it is. You're just trying to get shots in as fast.
Or think about how many times this year we saw someone pop Deddy, and as they were popping Deddy, they 3-shot someone with a Vaznev because a random hipfire bullet hit someone in the face. That's not like talent. That's just pure disgusting luck. So that is why the multiplier thing is a big topic, especially on the multiplayer side. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact number where pros loved it. I thought it was like 1-1, 1-2, or something where like, you want there to be a little rewards if you're trying to rip somebody up.
There should be.
Like, I think there to be a little bit, but like not too much.
All right, listen, I don't think we need a freaking right shoulder, left shoulder, thigh, knee, ankle, penis multiplier. Like it should be
I'm with penis multipliers though.
It should be literally like a 1x from shoulders all the way down and like a 1.1 to your face. Like that's, I don't know. I don't know where we're at with all this, but when like patch notes come out and I'm like, there's a hitbox there that's different. Why do we have a neck, an upper chest multiplier? I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I think that's another one of those like realism type things. I just don't care about. I just don't like. Yeah, have head and everything else. I mean, that's how it did it for shooters for the longest time, and I think it just makes more sense unless it is like, unless it's like a Tarkov or something where like I can see that making a lot of sense, like limb damage and stuff. Like I don't know that it. I just don't know in like a controller type game like Call of Duty if that ever makes sense. I just don't think it does.
Listen, bro, you lost that gunfight because I hit you 4 times to your upper right shoulder in my MP7 7.62 tack stance weaponry. Does 1.7 to that shoulder of yours with these bullets. You little bitch.
Yeah, I mean, there could be like, even if you like split it like, I don't know, like you had like a waist down, a torso, and a head, like 3 things. Yeah, it's just gotten insane, bro. Like, yeah, like, there's limbs, upper torso, lower torso, buttocks.
There's so much shit. I don't know. I'm mind blown every time I read it, but here we are. We're here.
It just seems harder. Right. It just adds coding, and it just makes things more complicated. Like, I don't think there are that many people that give a shit about that. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe if you do care, comment below, and Maven will argue with you. Okay, so that's pretty much it from MW3 that we know. The next news should be what, October 5th? That's COD Next.
Yeah, so COD Next is October 5th. Went to it last year. It was very cool. I've done a lot of the launch events, and like this one, when I first heard about how they were doing it, have like 150 content creators and a hangar and like everything they had planned, I'm like, this is going to be my nightmare, because like I've done a bunch of these launch shows and like there's always issues, but it was pretty damn smooth. It was a lot of fun. I think some of the content creators thought it was more of like a feedback session than it was. So there was some back and forth with that, where it's just, let's say it's a marketing event to showcase the games. That's what it is. But it's going to be showing off MW3, Warzone, and COD Mobile. And then I believe the date's already announced for the beta, but I know usually it's like right after that.
Like the day after, like the 6th, I think.
Yeah, they'll do like COD Next, and then there's the beta right after. So that's when we're going to get a lot more eyes on and see how things are going to play out. Because I don't even know if we know what the deal is with Warzone, like when the new iteration of that is.
I think the rumors are like December, January, I think.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. I don't know if I want that long, but I don't mind. Like, I don't like to grind multiplayer as much as I did 10 years ago. But like the beginning of it's fun. Just unlock guns and sort of just chat with the boys on Discord and level.
Well, we were joking because like the guns come over, so like the guns transfer over from MW2. So you're literally gonna load in, trying to level your MW3 guns, and you're just gonna attack 56 by some tryhard TTV kid. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
Dude, that reminds me of like update days, bro. When a new gun comes out, we just want to work on leveling it. We're just gonna get shit on by the old guns.
Yeah, it's always gonna be. Listen, they talked about bloat, and they're adding more bloat to it. So here we are. What was your favorite part about COD Next last year? Was it like the intro, like the first 30 minutes, where like you discussed the water mechanics, or?
I think my favorite part about COD Next was honestly seeing everybody, like just seeing a lot of people I hadn't in a long time, or a lot of content creators there. That's probably my favorite part, or the fact that I got to have, like, even though I didn't love some of the combos I had with some devs just based on their viewpoints and stuff, but I got to chat with like a bunch of devs one-on-one about various things, and that's always cool, because you don't even if I've been to a lot of feedback sessions and stuff over the years, like the different developers, but a lot of times, like, when we go to those, like, you have a play session, you sit down with one dev to go over certain topics. Like, there's not a lot of like one-on-one time. I got to just kind of pull people aside and have some chats, which I like that a lot.
Yeah, you did an awful job, I guess. All right.
Guess you're right. But I think that's about it for this one. We just wanted to touch on some of the roster stuff.
Maybe you did a great job. Wait, that's why we have MW3. It's all changing.
You're welcome.
Maybe you did a great job, actually.
You're welcome.
Maybe you did a good one.
Well, what actually is interesting was one thing we didn't touch on. Like, I actually, listen, I know it's torn. I wish that DMZ was a fantastic mode. I just wish that so many of the game designs weren't around that. It didn't have the impact on multiplayer and Warzone that it did. But I actually thought DMZ was great. I had a lot of fun playing with Chris.
You're really showing your age here.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think it's for people. I always viewed it as like, if you don't really love, if you've been playing multiplayer on COD for years and years and years and years, and it's just, you're kind of over it, which I kind of am. I love the cast esports, but I don't love to sit and just play multiplayer anymore. DMZ was sort of like a new iteration of that. It was just sort of like the lightness of multiplayer, but with like, I don't know. I loved it.
No, listen.
It's gone now?
No, I don't think so. I don't know if it's really going to be a focus in this title. Maybe they'll have some updates. I
thought there was some like zombie thing that's like a mix of like zombies and DMZ or something like
that. No, it's just like an open world zombies. Like that's.
But it sounded like it was taking some of the features of DMZ sort of and combining it with zombies. This open world thing.
The way I feel about it is like, I'm cool with it. You can have your mode, just like zombies has existed in the past, but like. We've never had the perk system with the colas being multiplayer from zombies. Like the DMZ was literally that was the core of this game, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just the fact. So yeah, if it comes back and people are enjoying it, I know people like it. I know Tarkov's a very big thing in the survival and making it all those intense situations, but it's just got to go over there.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was nothing like Tarkov. It was so like just light and fun, but I kind of hope they keep doing it. It's because I had fun dabbling in it. It was fun to stream. All right, what do we got? Community questions, and then I'm gonna go try to hibernate till Starfield.
Yeah, we got some community questions. This one is from Uptown Funk. Besides red dots, what is the one thing they need to add / have to make competitive better to play. We kind of just had this discussion. For me, it's probably spawns and maps, right? I think at the core, it has to be those two. That's for me. What about you?
I think it's just spawns. I think people are gonna have all these conversations about various things, time to kill and maps and mechanics. I think if the spawns are good, anything can be okay. And granted, we've gotten by years with fun esports years where spawns have been horrendous, but I just truly think at the end of the day, if the spawns are good, everything else can kind of fall in line.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So yeah, that's what we're looking at, and really the pros. That's what they're looking at. Hopefully they get that stuff with Sledge fixed. Sledge has always been a very, one of the. They've cared about this. They've definitely tried to help us out a lot. I mean, even like Vanguard, as much as Vanguard just hate, like they did add like the ninja perk. Like there were some changes there because they understand. They understand our viewpoint. So hopefully the pros in the league work with Sledge, and we have a great year this year. That's the goal. This one is from Skizzy. What do you think it would take to get challenged to the point where it is viable for the team owners? Is viable for the team owners. That's what Skizzy wants to know. I guess what would it take for challengers to get more investment? Is probably what he wants to know. Because I don't know if you saw the owner of what was that team for the French team? I'm gonna mess it up. Awababas. He tweeted out sort of the expenses that it took throughout the year to get his team to the events. And sort of the only way he kind of talked about that I can make profit is selling my players to CDL teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think that applies to any esport or sport. I don't think your D leagues or your amateur side of stuff is profitable anywhere. I mean, how? Other than, like selling players. Like, that's not, I mean, the answer, I think, is like, league needs to get to a better place. So then the core franchises are making money. Then when you have like the extra money, you can dabble in that stuff more, I think, and put more money into that. Like, I don't think most of that you expect to make a bunch of money. I mean, it's a little bit different with like, I don't know how you compare it to something like the Premier League where you have like the relegation system. It's a little bit different. If we had, probably one of the answers is if eventually we go to something that's more of instead of maybe the franchise league, if it was something where it is, what are they called in like Valorant and Halo? The like signed teams. If you have like partner teams, and then there's some sort of like relegation system. But even like that has its issues. Like I think we saw what just happened with Valorant and like what that guard team or whatever happened. They like didn't come to an agreement with Riot, and the spot's just gone, and they're just playing with one less team.
Well, that's like the LAG spot. So yeah, that's that ownership group who are obviously going through changes and whatnot.
But like even when we had relegation stuff previously with the CWL, like I don't know, you have the midnight situation, or I think we found like ways to improve it over the years based on like having to keep certain players, and it got to a better place. But I guess I think first and foremost, like for that part of this entire ecosystem to get to a better place, the money making side of it just has to get to a better place. The league itself and the franchise teams.
Yeah, because if you look at like pro sports, right, all the amateur teams are they owned by like the pro teams? Does that come out of their profits? I would assume.
Yeah, I think so. Unless I am.
I think you're right.
That sounds about right. I assume so. That's how it is in everything.
Yeah,
that's expenses that are coming out of basically the money you're making with your tier 1 team. I don't know if he's asking like, what do you need to do to make like that part of it alone, like that little, put that in a bubble and make that profitable?
The other part is this, right? Like a lot of the expenses were travels and stuff. Outside of your like open events in like MLGS system, like if you look at like Halo still and old COD, I don't know if there's an esport that runs amateur lands. Right?
No, because there's not like, I know the players like it, but listen, where the money comes from, first and foremost for any of this is like eyes on the product, right? I mean, the more people watching, more sponsors you get, bigger deal you get with Twitch or YouTube. But that's where the money comes from, is the number of people watching. Same with like TV, well, fucking anything. No one is watching that stuff for most esports. because like it's just not. That's how it is in anything. Like more people watch the tier 1 than they watch the tier 2. If there's some perfect way to get more eyes in the tier 2, but like it would need to increase so much to be profitable. I don't know how you do that. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm just thinking like, or like they just don't have losses. Like basically you would have online qualifiers and then like you would have a relegation system. That system would be basically funded by the league. They would fly the teams out. They would have their little relegation tournament, and right, they're not paying for anything. And then you would either get promoted or demoted.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really it.
If it's paid for the league instead, yes, that the more the league pays for solves the problem, sure. But that just goes back to my first point of like.
But the league would never invite a 200 team open event like that.
Yeah. But the league needs
how it's going to be.
Get to a better place financially to even be able to do that. So I just don't think we're there yet.
No, 100%.
But at the end of the day, I think like just the league succeeding more eyes on, more money involved, more sponsors. Like the answer is just more money. More money kind of it just has a trickle down effect, I think. What's the saying? Like where the tide all ships what the hell is that saying? Like
whatever it is, I believe
whatever it is. But I think that's just tough.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I used to work in league ops, so I paid attention to a lot of different esports. I still do. I think if you look at the top, like your CSs, it's very difficult to become a tier 1 team there. Once you do, you're pretty much invited to everything, right? That's just the way it is. They do a lot of invite tournaments. Your League of Legends, like you have the rank ladder to get on a pro team. You have to do really well on the ranked, then maybe you get into like their challenger system, but it's not like that has a lot of eyes on. And I don't think they play on LAN very often. I think maybe like their finals, like a lot of the other games mainly do amateur stuff online. There is very few examples where you're seeing as much amateur stuff on LAN as a game like us has, Halo has. There may be a couple others, but it's just not common because online it's cheap. It's free. There's no travel cost. That's just the way it is.
It's tough to have these conversations without just thinking of the bigger picture. And I think it just still, I don't want to get into too big of a convo, but it's just like the overall financial conversation and problems in esports right now. Like in major sports, a lot of the money is the broadcast deals and the major networks on television. Like we don't have that. And what is going to eventually fill that financial void probably needs to come from the publisher side who's making billions on the game. But that has not been solved yet. So until, I mean, Riot's getting closer, but
yeah,
that's where all the money is. That's where
we're waiting. You and I've been waiting 10 years, so we're wait longer. Actually, longer, 14 or something. A last question is from Rico. You and I love having these conversations. We just had the Warzone CDL like event, and I think that's still happening. And there may be one more, but Rico wants to know: could someone like Biffle make it into the CDL, and are there any other Warzone players that could? I have the same exact answer every time. I mean, potentially, I think he has the skill to do it. But I have no idea how Biffle is in a 4v4 situation or, playing hardpoint, search and destroy, and control. I don't know. The guy could shoot straight, but shooting is not hard in COD. Well, I mean, he does it very well. And he's obviously very intelligent. But it doesn't always equal 1-to-1, I guess, to me. I think someone could do it for sure. But
I personally think somebody like him could. I don't know where my line is, but
mm-hmm.
I think when it comes to like controller and like FPS, if you're in that upper echelon of talent, like with enough time, I think you could make it work. I just don't know like where my cutoff would be for like Warzone players, but like Biffle, he's one of those rare breeds that I think if he put in the time, I think he could. It's impossible to define a cutoff and say how much time it would take, but listen, Joe and I watched a lot of Biffle. That kid is fucking nasty.
He is.
I'm sure with enough time he could, but he just have a whole lot to learn. Skills that he's not using in Warzone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, I think, like watching like Biffle play Warzone, like pubs and stuff. Obviously that's where his fan base really grew. Like, that's like watching like a college basketball player dominate at the YMCA, like pickup games. You know what I mean? But like, could that college basketball player be a pro? Potentially.
Yeah, or maybe this is a horrible, a little bit different of an argument, but like I don't know, you have that like a 6'8", 250 basketball player. Like, could they be a tight end in the NFL? Physically, probably. LeBron could probably go be a tight end in the NFL. But what do you have to learn how to take a hit, learn routes, learn a lot of stuff in the NFL? Sure, give it enough time. LeBron James could probably be a disgusting NFL tight end. But like, yeah, we have to see.
Yeah, because I've played with some players who shot really straight. They were also awful teammates and really dumb, and that's a big factor when you talk about the CDL. It really is.
Yeah, just the level we're at now. I think if this was like 10 years ago, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Get in, shoots great. You'll find yourself in a squad battling up the ranks, but it's definitely got a little bit more elite over the years.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it. But yeah, it would be interesting to see. But yeah, that's what we got from the community questions. I know that's talked about often with Warzone players, but
thank you everybody for watching. Sorry we didn't have an episode for a while. I think Joe and I are gonna try to figure out who will be the next guest, but like I said, kind of Krim fell through because his schedule with the racing stuff. And honestly, we figured we just had stuff to touch on because we didn't talk about MW3 at all. We hadn't talked about some of the roster stuff that happened. The ROKKR stuff happened today. We just wanted to get an episode out there. Hope you guys didn't miss us too much. I think we have like 5 more or so to do before we figure out next year. Ultra, get the contracts ready, dude.
Yeah, because the production team's the ones working on that.
Ready.
Yeah. Yeah, Dean's writing it up right now, dude. I could hear him.
Lock us down. 10-year deal.
10 years. Wow. Nice. Do we get Canadian citizenship then with that? Would we be dual citizens? You and I? Eh? Little Tibbies, eh?
Kind of down. I kind of fuck with Canada.
Yeah, I'm with it. I'm down.
I'm gonna have to learn the ways of the Mooses and the Hockeys, but I'm down.
Hey, Maple Leafs to the cup, eh?
Absolutely. Hey. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. I don't have any kind of crazy closing. Honestly, I am so excited to play Starfield. I just am gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't decide how to go to live tonight. Am I gonna sleep? Am I gonna play in the morning? I've been shaking, fucking thinking about it all day. I don't know what I want to do. Bye.